everyone, welcome back to this podcast of Quiérete. I am your host, Ana. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you being here. If you're tuning in for the first time, I want to say thank you to you as well. And so, today's Saturday. Happy Saturday to everyone. It started off really good. I got the opportunity to hang out with some of my former coworkers from my old job. Former coworkers who now have turned into friends. So, I think that's one bonus too of leaving a job, right? That now it's no longer just coworkers. You have the opportunity to create some friendships outside of the workplace as well, and just get to know those individuals in a different light as well. So I feel like today it was really nice getting to mingle with them and interact with them in a more calm setting, right? We went to a winery, so that was really nice. We did a couple of wine tastings as well, and just got an opportunity to catch up as well. So it was very well spent half of the morning as well, and a little bit into the afternoon. So so let's go ahead and get started for today. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that I don't hear a lot about, especially, when it comes to conversations with my family, right? I think sometimes we bring up this topic and we briefly touch on it, but not very much, because I can see how it can be a very just sensitive topic. Things might come up for my siblings as well. And so the thing that I'm talking about or referring to is just dealing with aging parents, right? So parents who are getting older, who are slowly transitioning into, just very late, elderly stages of their life as well. And so, I wanted to take some space and just kind of discuss that today, because it's something it's on my mind a lot, and I haven't really had a conversation about this with a lot of people. So I thought, it would be a really good topic to just kind of discuss openly today as well. So just to kind of give you a little bit more background, right? So both of my parents are still married. They've been married for about, I want to say maybe 42 years. So it's a pretty long time. My parents have never separated. They've been married all throughout these 42 years, obviously. My parents have always had a very interesting relationship. I think I think there's love there in their own unique way. However, they show it to each other in a very peculiar way, I would say, right? And I think as they're getting older, there's less patience. They're a little bit more moody. They're a little bit more cranky. So just the dynamic is a little bit different, right? And so, however, I love both of them. I have nothing but respect and admiration for both of them, because they have done a lot for me and my siblings. I think both of them bring their own sort of trauma from their early childhood as well, and I think it does impact their marriage. But I can say that both of them they've been good parents to myself and my siblings as well. Of course, there's things, right, that I think they can definitely improve on, and maybe they just don't know any better, right? Because they're a lot of the times parents will parent you the way that their parents parented them, and that's basically all they know as well. So I think as I'm getting older and as they're getting older as well, I have to remind myself of that as well. And I think that helps me just have a little bit more compassion and more patience and more empathy for my parents. And so so that's what I want to touch base on today, right? And so both of my parents are in their late 60s already. Both of them are retired. My dad retired a few years ago, actually, but he still continues to do some, some side work as like a handyman. So my dad can build a lot of things. He's a great handyman. He actually built a little like a little mini room, a little mini house in our backyard as well. He did that all by himself, and he did such a good job on it as well. And sometimes I think he built it for himself just to have some space from the family or for my mom. I don't know, but he'll go in there a lot of the time, and I think that's like his downtime as well, to just spend time by himself. So that's there. But yeah, so he continues to do some work on the side. And then my mom, so my mom worked with my dad for a lot of years too when they were younger. So both of my parents worked in labor work, so they worked in the fields. My dad grew up working at a very young age when he came here from Mexico, and then slowly he transitioned into the role of a foreman as well. So he worked with my mom. He would bring her out too. So my mom was a checker. She would check that the workers were I think like during that time, I think it was I remember them working in the tomato, right? So like just making sure that they had their baldes, so their buckets full of tomatoes, and then my mom would check them off, and then right, I think that's how they would get paid, based on how many buckets they filled up as well. So both of them that worked together. Eventually, there was 5 of us siblings, so my mom ended up staying at home and taking care of us, and yeah, so then she stopped working with my dad, and she was a stay-at-home mom. However, I don't think it was easier, right? I think I recently saw read a research article that mentioned that being a stay-at-home mom, it's like having 2 full-time jobs. So my mom was definitely very busy. I feel like the work just never ended, and just raising me and my siblings, I'm sure it was a lot. It required a lot of patience. A lot of the times she lost the patience as well, because I'm sure it was hard just dealing with 5 kids and being home, right, cooking dinner and cleaning the house and all of that. But my mom did such a great job, and I'm very thankful that she was able to stay at home. She would be the one to wake us up in the morning to make sure we got to school on time, to greet us at our house whenever we got home from school, to have dinner ready for us too. So, both of them did a really amazing job of making sure that we had our basic needs met, right? That we had food, shelter, and clothes as well. So that was them while we were growing up. And so now, like I mentioned earlier, my dad still works on the side. So as my parents are getting a little bit older, I have been noticing some changes, right? And so with my dad, I don't know, I feel like my dad is, now that he's older, he is like trying to relive a lot of the things that he experienced when he was younger, or maybe things that he didn't get an opportunity to fulfill when he was younger. So for example, my dad recently bought a truck. It was a pretty expensive truck, a big red truck. It's a little bit lifted as well, big tires and all, but I think my dad has always wanted to have one, right? And so he bought this truck, and monthly payments are pretty expensive. As you know, right here, gas in California is really expensive. The cost of living is very expensive. So his car insurance, his car payment, the gas is pricey. So me and my siblings have been trying to convince him to just, take the car back and just buy another car that's more economical, that's just more comfortable for him and my mom as well, because we tell him that as they're getting older, like, it's going to get more difficult for them to get into the truck because it's a little bit lifted, right? And I think that makes them more prone to accidents, right? But he's just like, no, he's not listening to us. He's not budging at all. Like anything we tell him, it'll come in through one ear and come out the other. So he's just happy. He's happy with his truck. So I think for a lot of time, for a long time, like there was just a lot of frustration from my behalf, and like thinking, oh my God, my dad is just like wasting all this money in this truck. Like it's so expensive. But now, like I'm trying to remind myself, right, that there's just a lot of things that are out of our control. And as much as we want to change people, as much as we want to change their mindset and their beliefs and the way they behave and act, like we can't do that. That's not within our control, right? So I'm trying to think of things a little bit differently and have a different approach in the situation, and just remind myself that if my dad's happy, then it's fine. I'm happy for him as well. I think this is something that he's always wanted. So I'm just kind of leaving things as they are right now, right? Another thing about my dad too is that a few years ago, he actually got a motorcycle, sports bike. And we all know that they can be dangerous, especially for someone in their late 60s, right? So my dad bought this red sports bike as well. Like he'll ride it around town, he'll ride it to work. So what we feared might happen actually happened. So my dad was actually driving the motorcycle. He was going to this park where he had never been before, and then on the way to the park, there was a lot of different curves. So my dad actually got in an accident. He hit the curve a little too sharp, and he fell off the bike. He ended up in the ER. And so we were like just terrified, right? We were terrified. However, I think we were more scared than he was, right? And so again, like that's the problem. Like we're more scared than he was. He's like, yeah, like I got a couple of bruises. Like I think he fractured his collarbone. He broke his shoulder as well. He got surgery. Like he was able to bounce back like a week after. He was like active again. And we tried to get him to sell his sports bike as well, but like he's like, no, like I'm gonna fix it. And yeah, that's what he did. He fixed it, and now he's like riding the sports bike again. And so like I swear this man is just like, he is like a daredevil. He's very ruthless. And again, like no nos hace caso. He's gonna keep doing what he wants to do. And yeah, and so that's where a lot of my mom's frustration and stress comes from too. That my dad is just, doing things that, again, make him more susceptible to injuries, to accidents, like like what happened a year or two ago. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's something that a lot of fathers go to as they get older, but my dad's definitely going through something right now. As far as like my mom, so I spend a lot more time with my mom than I do with my dad. And it's always been like that too. I'm like a big mama's girl. But like, so with my mom loves going shopping, and that's something that my sister, myself, and my mom like to do together. We like to go out shopping. We like to go eat after. Something that I recently noticed is that, her mobility is different. So whereas before, like I could be walking pretty fast and like she'd be able to catch up. And now that I'm like walking, I'm like looking to my side and I'm like, where the hell is my mom? So then I'm looking back and she's like 5 feet behind me. So then it's like, I have to remind myself that like, no, she can't walk as fast anymore. Like she's walking slower, right? And even if she walks faster, like that's a little dangerous for her too, because she's more prone to falling, right? And having an accident or something. So again, like those are the difference that I've noticed as well. My dad's memory, it's not as good as it was before. So like now we're noticing more of like him misplacing things, like forgetting where he left his cell phone. My dad has lost so many cell phones already because he's misplaced them before. My mom's memory has always been a lot sharper than my dad's, and like my memory, or my siblings as well. She has such a good memory as well. But then, now there's things that I've noticed where like I'm talking to her and like maybe she's just not processing the information that I'm like providing to her as quick as she was before. And so like sometimes I'm having to repeat myself. So I'm noticing those changes as well. And yeah, so, I think another thing that I've been noticing too is like when she's eating things too, like she'll, not like she's choking, but yeah, like she'll accidentally like it'll go down the wrong hole, I guess you can say. So yeah, she'll start like coughing and coughing, and I'm like, oh my god, like what's going on, right? And so like that's a difference that I've noticed as well in her. But yeah, it's, I think for those individuals, for those people, who are watching this as well, that are around my age, so I'm in my mid 30s, or even people that are older than me as well, that do have parents who are like 60 years and over. I think you are going to start noticing those changes as well. And it's also a reminder that, life passes by so quickly, that our parents are going to continue changing, right? We're going to start seeing them depend on other people for supports a lot more than before. I'm very thankful that my parents are still pretty independent. Like they can still do a lot of things by themselves, without any support, right? But I know those things are not always going to be the same, right? So I know once they start getting into their 70s, things might change as well. So I start thinking about, what plan do I have in place? What plan do me and my siblings have in place? And then these are conversations that, I feel like I have, like briefly initiated with my siblings as well. As like, my parents are getting older. What's going to happen in 5 years? What's going to happen in 10 years? Who's gonna be there for support mainly? Is it gonna be, me because I'm a female, right? And so because my parents might feel more comfortable having me around, or is it gonna be the sibling that's not married and that doesn't have kids, right? And so those are all very, I think, important conversations to have, like right now, because we just never know what might happen in like a year or two from now. And I think it's good to already have a plan set in place for when that time does come up or happen. Then we're not like scrambling around or arguing or delegating roles, right, or responsibilities as well. And that way we can all have a little bit more peace of mind as well. So yeah, so that, I think that's a conversation that I think it's going to be very crucial, very important to have soon, right? Because like I said, I think it's really good to be prepared. And I think for me as well, I feel currently very blessed and very grateful to have summers off, because it also allowed me to do a lot more things that I was not able to do, when I was working full time, right? Or when I was working year long as well. So now I'm able to make more time and more space to be with my parents, to do things with them during the weekdays, during the morning time. Just yesterday, my parents had an appointment with the Social Security office. So like I drove them, right? And that was a very good opportunity for me to invite them out to lunch after, to just have car conversations as well, and just to catch up and ask them how they're doing. And just to be in the presence of them, right? Because I think those little moments are very important, and I truly, truly cherish them as well. And yeah, I think that, for myself as well, like I'm learning how to practice more patience as well, which sometimes it's hard for me to have with them as well, because both of my parents can be very stubborn, and they both have like their own perspectives on certain things, and sometimes we don't agree on a lot of different topics. We don't agree on certain, like our approaches are very different sometimes, right? And so sometimes it's very easy for me to like be reactive, and then I sometimes have a conversation with my husband and I tell him about what happened. Me and my mom argued, or this happened, and he reminds me too, like, hey, like they're probably not going to change the way that they are, right? Like they're older, they're getting more stubborn. So like all you can do, like what's in your control, is just to have patience, or just set boundaries as well. I think that's gotten very important for me too as I'm getting older and as they're getting older as well. But yeah, practicing patience is very important for me as well. Once I start seeing the situation in a different way as well, and like just thinking about how they're getting older and how, you know, they're probably perceiving their own changes in their mind and in their body as well, it starts to create more compassion and more empathy towards them as well. And then that helps me not be so reactive and instead be more responsive as well. So yeah, I think as the time goes by too, we start to value a lot more of, you know, how our relationships with our parents. And I know not everybody has a relationship with their parents, and that's okay too, right? I'm not endorsing like abusive relationships or anything like that. I think in those situations, it's fine. It's good to have boundaries with those people, even though they're your parents. However, my situation is a little bit different, right? I feel like my parents, they did the best that they could. And now as I'm getting older, I do feel a sense of responsibility in making sure that they're okay, that they're good. I think now I'm in the space where like I'm able to, to treat them, to take them out to lunch, to take them out to dinner. Hopefully something that I really want to do with them is take them out on vacation, like at a beach resort, so they can experience that type of relaxation as well. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do that, hopefully within the next year or so I can continue creating memories with them and creating some good moments with them as well. So with that said, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in, and I hope to see you soon. Until next time, bye.